Hi there. I think I owe you guys an apology. Before we started talking about loops, I really should have covered if, then, because it's almost impossible to write a program without it. As it is, we've already seen a few of those. And I think I'm not going to kill you with examples. I just want to run you through the two main forms of it in Yab. Hello, can I have... And that is the short form and the long form. And the short form is on one line. If something is true, do something. So that would look like something like that. If A is 23, then let B equals 5. Or whatever. You use that when you only want to change one thing. But you can also negate it. Now, the one way to do that, of course, is like this. If A is not equal to 23, then B must be 5. Or you can use this form. And note that you don't use then. You can test for two things. So both A must be 23 and B must be equal to 5. If that is the case, then you do this. That's your payload. However, you can also test for one of those things. Right, if A equals 23 or B equals 5. If either of those things are true, then deliver the payload. That is the short form. However, there's also a longer form. If something is true, then do something. And here you can now do more than one thing. Then optionally, else if something else is true, then, and this then is optional here. It's compulsory there because it tells Yab that there's a long form of the if statement involved here. But here it's obvious, it's optional. Do something else, and again you can do more than one thing here. And finally, in all other cases, you can do something completely different. So, and you end that loop, that not a loop, that structure, with ENDIF. Now there are some alternative forms that are allowed, right? Let's see. As you can see, else if, right? You can write that without the second E. Alright, so we can change that. It looks like this one is preferred. I generally write it like this. However, some dialects of BASIC will allow you to use this with a space in between. Yab is not one of them. Don't do that. Right, and here ENDIF can also be written as phi. And again, the indentation is just for readability. It doesn't make a real difference to the program. So let's write that. So what we're saying here, if A is 23, then B equals 5. If A is 24, then B equals 6. Else B is 0. So this is incredibly important. You can hardly write a program without if-then statements. I would suggest, if you're just starting out, use this long form because it's easier to read. Right? Now, of course, the long form doesn't have to have all of this. That's a perfectly acceptable long form if-then statement. Right? So the else if and the else conditions are optional. The other thing is that in all cases, I'm testing here for the value of A. And I suggest you keep it that way. Because if you're testing for A and then in the else if you're testing for B, and you're going to get confused. And if you're confused, your program will be confused. Okay, so I think that's about it for if then endif. Just want to show you something though. Do you know this poem? Yeah, it's quite famous by Rudyard Kipling, so if you've been studying English at all, you'll have come across it. So I just want to show you that what it would look like if we put that in a computer program. So I've only done the first bit there and the last two, right? And then you can see how the if-then statements are nested. Now this is pseudocode. This is not real code. It won't compile. But I'm just trying to show you that if-then statements are probably the easiest structure to work with, not just in Yab, but in any programming language, because it's just something that we do every day. If this, then that. If not this, then that doesn't apply. Okay, so we will be seeing a lot of if-then endif structures as we explore more of Yab. I should have done it earlier, as I said, but well, it's not like I'm planning this systematically, Have a great day. Bye-bye.